This video is part of a series in which I'm taking a dive into famous baseball players that are typically associated with one team. But what if they never actually played for that team? Stick with me and I'll tell you the story about what could have been. What is going on, everybody? Thanks for joining me on my channel, Brutus on Baseball. Let's take today to explore another player. Carl Yastrzemski played for the Boston Red Sox his entire career, taking over in left field and having some rather humongous shoes to fill, as his rookie season in 1961 followed in the shadow of Ted Williams' final season in left field for the Sox in 1960. Yastrzemski actually came up through the minor leagues as a second baseman, but because of Williams' impending retirement, the Red Sox moved him to left field to take over for the splendid Splinter after that 1960 season. Yastrzemski would play his entire 23 seasons in Boston, finishing with 3,419 hits, 452 home runs, to go along with a 130 career OPS plus and nearly 100 WAR. He was an 8-team All-Star, he won 7 Gold Gloves, and he had his best year in 1967 when he won the American League Triple Crown and brought home the AL MVP award as well. It would be the last Triple Crown by any player until 45 years later when Miguel Cabrera accomplished the feat again in 2012. But Yastrzemski, or YAZ as they like to call him, wasn't always destined to play left field for the Red Sox. Carl had grown up in Long Island, New York, working with his father on a potato farm. His father was actually a pretty decent baseball player in his own right, reportedly having offers from the Dodgers and Cardinals during the Great Depression, but he chose the farm life to support his family rather than the uncertainty of playing baseball. Carl's father formed a semi-pro team, the Bridgehampton White Eagles, before Carl was even born, and on which Carl would play as he grew up into a teenager with quite a bit of talent. Where the senior Yastrzemski didn't take his chance to play professional baseball, though, he did all that he could to make sure that his son would make the very most of that opportunity. Carl's father was his biggest supporter and did all that he could to make sure he got every opportunity to be seen by Major League scouts. Carl started out as both a pitcher and a position player, but it was his father that saw his true potential as a hitter and had him focus his development as such. The elder Yastrzemski also had his eye on getting his son paid the biggest signing bonus that he could, so he took over all negotiations with major league teams as they became more and more interested in Carl as he approached his high school graduation. And that's when the first really serious pitch came to the Yastrzemski household. At the age of 18, while still in his senior year of high school, the New York Yankees scout Ray Garland came calling. Although Carl couldn't sign a contract until after he had graduated, his father still invited the Yankees scout into their home to talk about details. Garland and Yastrzemski traded bonus numbers, with Garland writing $60,000 on a piece of paper, and the elder Yastrzemski countering with $100,000. The story goes that Garland reacted rather dramatically, throwing his pencil in the air and exclaiming, $100,000? Are you crazy? The Yankees will never pay that. Well, the Yankees owner at the time even got involved with negotiations after hearing what had transpired, and it's quite likely that the Yankees may have considered matching Yastrzemski's demands, but it didn't matter, because as Carl's father put it to Garland after the incident, nobody throws a pencil in my house. Get the hell out and never come back. Without any other offers to match the $100,000 demand, Carl Yastrzemski attended Notre Dame University to play baseball and basketball on a scholarship. After a short stint with the Irish, not even yet playing on the varsity team, the bonus offers started to increase to well over $100,000. But the Yankees weren't allowed to be a part of that conversation anymore. The Red Sox didn't even make the largest contract offer at only $108,000, but Carl's father wanted him to play for an East Coast team not too far from home. So Carl signed with the Sox in November of 1958, and the rest was history. But for just a moment, can you imagine Carl Yastrzemski in the Yankee pinstripes rather than playing in left field in front of the Green Monster? Could Red Sox fans even stomach the thought of that? Had it not been for Ray Garland's overreaction, it very well could have happened. The Red Sox didn't fare all that well even through Yastrzemski's career, only making 2 World Series appearances in 1967 and 1975, both of which they lost in dramatic fashion. But would they have even made it there in the first place in either season without YAZ, especially without his Triple Crown season in 1967? And what about the Yankees? Carl's first season in 1961 was a historic season with Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle manning the Yankee outfield and trading home runs all season long. But even with those two, the Yankees still had a soft spot in left field for the majority of YAZ's career. And that's not even considering that perhaps the Yankees would have kept YAZ at second base instead, where he could have been a significant upgrade over the Yankees' extremely light-hitting second base staples Bobby Richardson in the 1960s, followed by Horace Clarke in the late 60s and early 1970s. The Yankees won it all those first 2 seasons of Carl's career in 1961 and 1962, but they lost the series in both 63 and 64. Could having YAZ on the team turned either one of those around? The Yankees were a fairly poor team in the late 60s and early 70s, but could YAZ have helped bridge that gap between 1964 and 1976? And could he have helped them win it all in 1976, 1980, or even 1981? Luckily for Red Sox fans, and perhaps even more for those of us that despise the Yankees no matter which team to root for, it's a good thing we'll never have to know. Thanks again for joining me one more time, looking at an interesting story of a player that could have played for a different team. We'll catch you back here next time. Until then, keep talking baseball, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you around.